9 Kobus Wiese, Kobus Reinach, sorry, 10 Elton, 11 Apilele, 12 Frans Steyn, 13 Jesse, 14 Sabu, and 15 will be Damian Willemse. Then on the bench, starting from 16 is Malcolm Marx, then Trevor Nyakane, Vincent Koch, Marvin Ori, Marco van Staden, Dan de Pree, number 21, and then the 2 backs will be Herschel Jantjies and Morné Steyn.
Thank you, Jacques. And as per our usual format for the press conference, we will afford SuperSport and then ESPN a few questions at the top, and then we will open the floor for general questions to the media. Therefore, we say good afternoon, Matthew Pierce from SuperSport.
Thank you, Rayan. Good afternoon, Jacques. Yeah, you said a couple of changes, just the 6 in the back line and 4 in the forwards. How important in this selection was balancing continuity of result coming out of a successful series and wanting to maintain that, but also giving other players in this broader squad an opportunity that they've been desperate for to play Test rugby?
Yeah, Matt, firstly, if I can start before I answer that question, or I'm going to answer it, but I want to just start off by saying that with the changes that we made, there's absolutely zero disrespect for Argentina. Argentina, and we had an open, honest conversation with the players. You know, Argentina, since the Rugby World Cup, have played 7 test matches, and they've only lost 1. And if you look at the test matches that they played twice against New Zealand, twice against Australia, twice against Wales, who's the reigning Six Nations champions, and then once against Romania. And out of those 7 test matches, they've only lost 1. So not at all is it any disrespect. But like you rightly say there, our challenge is that we have 5 big test matches on a trot, 5 consecutive weekends on a trot, in saying that that is the 3 British and Irish Lions test matches, and then obviously the 2 big test matches against Argentina. And yeah, unfortunately, we're in a position where we have to look at player welfare. So the changes are pretty much more player welfare than anything else, you know. But like you rightly said there, Matt, yeah, we've obviously have some strategic goals that we would like to achieve, and then our first goal will always be to win. But and then the second one is to create squad depth, you know, and get experience. And I think this gives us an opportunity to do it. But again, I want to reiterate it and amplify it. No disrespect against Argentina. We know it's going to be a really, really tough test match.
But Jacques, as much as you're obviously in this selection presenting opportunity to some relatively inexperienced players, there's also balance. If you look at the second row, the midfield, but then also coming off the bench.
Yeah, I think, Matt, if you look at, if you can almost look at where we made the changes, you know, yes, we've got, I won't say new, but obviously the front row, starting front row, haven't played for a while. You know, Ox played the first test match, and Joseph, he played in the SAA game, but this will be his first test for South Africa. And then Wilco is not new to the Springboks. He's played and been with us in 2018. So he's a new addition, or not a new addition, but he's a new old guy coming back. But then, yeah, there's lots of consistency, I would say, in the second row. And then again, like you rightly said, I think if you look at the front row coming off the bench, it's the same guys that finished the test match against the British and Irish Lions. And then, obviously, there's been there's new ex-bar, Kobus Reinach. We've got a new backline. But then also the guys coming off the bench are Herschel and Morné, who came off the bench in the last test as well. So I guess what you rightly say is that we're trying to balance between getting players in the mix, but also try and mix it with guys who's been playing consistently and who's been in the thing.
final one from me, Jacques. Just the defensive system obviously held up superbly well across the Lion series. And how important then to have the likes of Elton, France, Jesse, 10, 12, 13, just directing that defensive system.
Yeah, I know, Matt. Yes, massive. I mean, Jesse will probably take over, no, not probably, will take over as the defense captain from Lucanio. Yes, I said it after the test match. We are really fortunate to have two world-class 13s, and then I'm not even mentioning a guy like Frans Steyn. So you say if you look at the experience between those two players, I think Jesse is 3 or 4 games away of playing 50 test matches for South Africa. And France, I mean, he's beaten the British and Irish Lions twice. So, I mean, it's nice to have a midfield like that. And then obviously Elton, has been part of our squad since 2018, been consistently part of our squad. So it's nice to have them, and there will be a big responsibility on their shoulders, in terms of the communication and stuff going through to Damien, Sabu, and Apilele. And again, Damien has been involved through all the matches that we've played currently. Sabu is not a newcomer, and Apilele, it will be his second test match. But yes, they bring a lot of stability there in the midfield, and their communication will be vital for us.
Thank you, Jacques. Thanks, Ray.
Thank you, Matthew Pierce. And we continue with the broadcasters, and we say good afternoon to Luis Chiesa from ESPN.
Hi, good afternoon, Jacques and Vincent. Hi, Jacques. I'm Luis Chiesa from Scrum ESPN Argentina. Last year, Pumas had a great 3 nations against Australia and New Zealand. What do you think are the greatest threats of the Argentine team, and from which Pumas players do you have to take care of?
Sorry, you broke up a bit, but I think the 2 questions that I got was they had a good Tri Nations last year, and what do I think is their threats? And then the other question was what players do we need to have a look at? Yes, firstly on the successes of last year, I mean, phenomenal if you think about the challenges that they went through, and being in isolation, haven't been exposed to any rugby for a long period. And then obviously, like I said in the intro, they've since the World Cup, they've played 7 test matches against big countries, and they've only lost against New Zealand, So I think as a team, the challenges that they went through speaks volumes for how tight they are as a group. I think that they are a really tight group of players. Even when they played in 2019, Jaguares went straight to the final of the Super Rugby, and so they've been together for ages. So I think that's probably one of the big strengths. If you talk about off field, is I think they know each other well and they know the coach well. A massive respect for them. Then from a coaching perspective, I think they're tactically astute, if that's the right word. They're smart, they're clever. We really have to nail our planning down in terms and trying to break them down. They obviously have a phenomenal defense. If you look at an attack, they can score. They've got very good fast wingers, can score from turnover. They're very well planned in their map attack. So no, I think across the board, I think they physical side, they defensively well structured, well organized. They are willing to put their heads in dark places, and then from an attacking point of view, they can create magic out of nothing. I just think about their try against the All Blacks in that first game they played, where Sanchez made magic there with 2 attacking kicks. So they can literally, if they have to give you the ball and defend the whole day, they're willing to do that. If they have to keep the ball and attack you and break you down and run through you, they're willing to do that. Quick outside backs to go around you, and then obviously with Sanchez and Kabeli, they've got a great kicking combination there, so they can pin you in your half and go over you. So I think across the board they're well balanced side. And then, yes, are there any specific players that we have to watch? All of them. I mean, and when I say all of them, I think I started the question by saying, listen, how tight they are. So I think they play for each other. So if it's not Pablo, then it's Kramer. If it's not Kramer, then it's Buffelli at the back. I mean, across the board, they got quality rugby players.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Jacques. Thank you, Luis. Thank you, Jacques, for that comprehensive answer. Now we opening the floor, and we say good afternoon to Brendan Nell.
Afternoon, guys. Jacques, two questions from me. One, do you have maybe an injury update on Peter Steff and Dwayne, for instance? And the second of all, there seems to be, after the Lions victory, a bit of a narrative in the north there of boring rugby, Springboks slowing the game down, and maybe not giving you guys the credit for the victory that you probably deserve. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yes, Brendan. Yeah, on the first one, yeah, Peter Steff he had surgery on Monday, I think. I'm not sure where we are now. We Tuesday, yeah, yesterday. I spoke to him briefly. It went well. So I think he's going to be out for some time. He had shoulder surgery, and then on Dwayne is training with us. And again, like I said in the beginning, it's nice to have him here. And not just nice having him here, it's nice that he's training with us, he's doing his rehab. He hasn't been part of us for quite some time, although he's been at all the alignment camps. So his input into us and our structures are vital, is nice. But we will never play him if he's not 100% confident. So he must be confident. We must be confident in him. The players must be confident in him. And then we must be happy with his on-field training and his performance during the week in the training sessions. He did the majority of all the trainings last week, and he's training with us this week. But we will wait. We won't push him at all, and not one of the guys who's currently in our system that needs to get or that's injured. I'm talking like a guy like Faf. We will wait till they're medically fit and clear, and before we will give him a go. In terms of the other one was the Northern Hemisphere. Sorry, if you can just gooi that one again.
No, I was saying that there's a bit of a narrative that after your guys' victory in the series, that it's boring rugby in the Northern Hemisphere, and some parts of New Zealand are blaming the Springboks for that, maybe not giving you guys the credit you deserve for the victory and the way you play.
Yeah, yes, Brendan. I think it was tight. It could have. Very, very grateful for the victory, for the serious victory, because it's such a special thing that comes around once every 12 years. But it could have. It was unbelievably tight. Could have gone both ways. I think credit to both teams. I thought it was a grind, and that's what I think what you want from the second biggest, in my opinion, after the World Cup, probably the second biggest tournament that you'll play is that test matches against the British and Irish Lions, and it was a humdinger, and I think rugby is probably, in my opinion, the victor there, in terms that it was that close. It took 3 points separating us at the end. In terms of playing style, yeah, listen, that's the beauty of rugby. There's different ways there's different styles, and I think the nice thing about it, I think it would have been unbelievably boring if everybody played the same style, because different styles means there's different tactics. And I'm just thinking, if you think take the World Cup, for instance, we had to, from the Springbok side, we played probably the most attacking branded team in the quarterfinal, and then you had to change your whole mentality going into a team that played a massive kicking game, and you had to make plans to try and outsmart them and outmaneuver them, and the players had to give their input. And then you played a team like England. I mean, who's got almost a very balanced approach, between, if you think, attacking brand, quarter-final, defensive brand, semi-final, and England maybe a balance in between. So I think that's I don't think there's one specific style, and style gets determined by your the athletic attributes of the players. So New Zealand will have certain athletic attributes in the athletes, and they will create a game plan to amplify that special characteristic of the players. We will have a different player, and we will look to amplify our athletic abilities, and Japan will have different athletic abilities. So I think why playing styles differ is because the athletes differ. The athletes of Japan that makes up the Japan side, and the athletes that make up our side, and the athletes that make up Australia or New Zealand or Argentina are different, and that's why you get different playing styles.
Thank you, Jacques. Well put. And we say good afternoon to Ken Boland. Ken, can you hear me? Okay, we move.
Ariane.
And Peter, you're done. Yes.
How's it going?
Almost went past you. Yes.
Sorry,
Ken.
yeah.
Good afternoon. Hope you're well.
Afternoon.
Yeah,
Afternoon, Jacques and Vincent. Obviously, after such a ferocious, brutal series as the Lions, you're always going to need to give some players a break. But Eben and Sia, who both had massive series against the Lions, how close are they to needing a break as well?
I think, like I said, I think that for us, it's our first strategic objective will always be to win. I mean, you're representing your country as a national team. So, and winning is unfortunately is what's required. But in trying to win, we will have to look at the welfare of the players. And at the moment, I mean, there's lots of various things that go into deciding, listen, can we rotate a player, or is it maybe time? I don't want to use the word rest, because the players who's not selected in this 23 is not resting. They've got a massive role in preparing us for Saturday, so they are training as hard as the other guys. They might just not get the trauma of a test match, and that's probably, if one look at that as a rest, I would probably call it deload, and almost just sparing them that test match trauma. But they are training with us, and they're preparing, and they went in the morning session this morning, and they're scrumming tomorrow, and defense session tomorrow. I prefer probably not to use the word rest. They just applied in a different way in our environment currently. But yes, we would like to do that if the player is physically medically ready and he can play. We will make him play. And there's mental aspects that we look at, and obviously is getting continuity in terms of leadership. And you don't want to throw over the apple cart in terms of taking too many leaders out, not having leaders there. So it's a big balancing act, but we've got a plan as a coaching group that we've set out, but plans don't always play out as you planned it, So hopefully it does for our sake. But if a player has to play 6-7 games on a trot, and he's physically able to do that, and we have to, then unfortunately that would be it. But if we have control over it, and it's within our capability, we will always try and look to manage the players if we can, in terms from a welfare point of view. I hope that answers your question, Ken.
Thank you, Jacques.
Pretty much. Thanks, Jacques.
Thank you, Ken. Good afternoon, Jan de Koning.
Dankie, Ryan. Jacques, yeah, a twofold question. The first one, hopefully you can just give us a bit more of an update. When you say Peter Steff might be out for a long time, do you expect him at all back this year? And then the second part of the question is, we saw in the Georgia test when a team hasn't played together for a while, there's a bit of rustiness in that first half. Do you expect the same in this game, or have you got plans to negate the possibility these guys haven't played in a match for a while?
Firstly, on Peter Steff, I'm not 100% sure. I spoke to him he texted me last night. No, when was that? Yeah, he texted me last night. On Monday evening, and then I spoke to him this morning and just how it's going. And obviously he said after the game, listen, he's going in for the operation, and we had a quick chat on Sunday. He said congrats to the boys, and we just spoke about his contribution in the 2 tests that he was involved. Yeah, so but I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. Again, I'll lie if I not Ken. Yeah, it's Jan, eh? Yeah, Jan. Sorry. I will lie if I put a time frame on it. So I'm not sure. On the rustiness side, listen, Argentina is a tough team, and I think if you look at last year, the test match that they played against New Zealand, they're a team that has the ability to disrupt your flow on attack, and people might look at it and say, listen, maybe it's the changes, or maybe it's because the players haven't played together for a long time. But I mean, that is what they do. They are really good at that. And that's why I say hats off to their coaching team. They make good plans. They really upset you. So from our point of view, if we want to get rhythm and want to get continuity and want to have, we've identified areas that we have to work on. And listen, we are working as hard as we can to make sure that we get continuity in our game and that we get flow in our game. But against a team like Argentina, it's tough. If you look at their last game against Wales, I mean, I know Wales had a couple of players out. They're the reigning Six Nations champions, but they played them in Wales, and they gave. I think they gave. It was a comfortable victory at the end for Argentina. So that is the one thing. That's why I say I don't think where they are currently in their world rankings reflect the quality of position they are. So it's going to be a tough struggle. But if we struggle in the beginning, it's probably because we're not getting our plans right. And like I said, we've made some plans, and hopefully we will be able to execute them on the day.
Peter, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Quick one in Afrikaans, is that fine, Royan?
Jy kan gaan.
Asseblief, Jacques, net so 'n bietjie vroeër te herhaal soos die vraag vroeër was, hoe balanseer julle ouens die behoefte om eerstens ruskans te gee aan spelers, ander ouens speelkans te gun om die diepte uit te brei, en natuurlik ook om terselfdertyd nie vir Argentinië te onderskat nie.
Ja, ek dink die groot ding is die veranderinge wat ons gemaak het aan die span is glad nie omdat ons enigsins dink of Argentinië onderskat nie. Jy weet, in die laaste 7 hulle van die wêreldbeker af 2019 het hulle 7 toetse gespeel, waarvan daai 7 toetse 2 teen Australië was, 2 teen Nieu-Seeland en 2 teen Wallis, wat die huidige 6 nasiekampioene is, en dit was hulle laaste 2 wedstryde, en dan het hulle 1 gespeel teen Roemenië voordat hulle teen Wallis gespeel het. En hulle het net 1 wedstryd van daai 7 wedstryde verloor, en dit was teen Nieu-Seeland gewees, maar die ander een het hulle gewen. So ek dink vir ons is dit ongelukkig het die jaar se skedule net so gewerk dat ons 5 groot toetse agter mekaar het, agtereenvolgende naweke. die 3 Britse en Ierse leeustoetse en dan reguit in die 2 toetse teen Argentinië. En ons sal altyd probeer om te kyk na die welstand van ons spelers, jy weet waar ons kan, maar dit bly nog steeds, ons is die nasionale span, so dit bly nog steeds ons primêre strategiese doelwit is nog steeds om te wen en aan te hou wen en momentum te behou. So maar aan die ander kant wil ons ook graag bietjie ons squad diepte of ons squad diepte uitbrei en bietjie en meer wat is die Afrikaanse woord nou, ervaring gee aan die ouens wat aan die groter squad wat ons het. So om dit te balanseer, soos ek sê, daar's baie goed wat dit beïnvloed. Dit is daar die hoeveelheid leierskap wat daar is in die span wat gaan speel, die ervaring wat daar is. Probeer altyd klomp van daai aspekte balanseer, maar en ons is gelukkig op die stadium, as jy dink, as 'n ou dit balanseer noem, om 'n ou soos Frans en Jesse en Elton in te bring, ons bevoorreg om sulke ervare spelers te kan inbring in 'n toets soos teen Argentinië.